Soul contracts, the deal celebrities can't break. Let's get into this, exactly what this is. I want to get the skinny on this. So you would not be fooled when you hear them talking about that they converted. No, those contracts don't get broken. But let me get into it so that you can see what I'm talking about. These contracts are made in secret rooms, behind velvet curtain, high walls, where the price isn't money, it's your soul. Celebrities, influencers, moguls, they didn't rise from talent. They rose from sacrifice. They won't discover they were initiated. And when they signed that contract, it wasn't ink, it was blood. It was essence, it was eternity. These are not earthly agreements governed by man law. These are deals struck with entities that do not forgive, do not forget, and do not negotiate. It doesn't matter if they cry on live stream or plead to God when things fall apart. The contract hold. It will always hold. They surrender ownership of self for temporary gain. They made a deal they can never unmake, only delay the consequences. You think this is just celebrity drama? Think again. Non celebrities sign them too. Desperate artists, wannabe prophet, anonymous who crave more. The infernal realm doesn't care about your follower count. If your ambition burned hot enough, they will find you. They whisper in addictions and despair and hunger for recognition. They offer power in exchange for permanency. This isn't superstitious. This is the metaphysical law. Once that signature seal, there is no legal team, no pastor, no therapist that can undo it. You don't walk away from a soul contract. You either pay or you convert under high authority, but break it impossible. These are not Hollywood contract with clause and exit plans. These are not written in terms you can negotiate. These are spiritual bound and coded with internal consequences. Signed with full knowledge or not, the realm that accepted doesn't care. It is binding beyond time. Once the soul give consent, and even through ignorance, it is held in place. You can scream on top of your lung, I didn't know. Ignorance is not a shield. The infernal operate on a cosmic legality. In that realm, intention is everything. Retraction is nothing. The exchange is set. The harvest will come. That is why so many celebrities spiral out when they try to backpedal. You see it in their eyes, the glitch, the emptiness, the begging behind the begging behind a fake smile. Some try to rebrand as spiritualists, as enlightened. They run to shamans, convert to false lights, cleansing their image, but they remain marked. The brand of the contract stay intact into the era. It's like it's attached into their aura. They are hunted not by regret, but by ownership. They try to play both sides, eat from heaven's table and hell's throne. But once the infernal hand lifts you up, it owns your descendants. That's why their downfall are never random. It's payment coming due. For non-celebrity, the trap is even more terrifying. No lights, no fame, no farewell. Just a quiet damnation. They thought they were invisible. They thought no one would notice, but the realm they contract with noticed everything. They made the pact in a dark moment, a whisper, a journey entry soaked in tears. You said, anything, just help me. And it hurt you. And that word anything was a binding clause. Now the thing that gave you power, money, sex, influence, revenge, is calling in its favor. You feel it in the sleepless night, in the panic, in the madness. That's your contract speaking. Don't be fooled by the ones who pretend to be free. They're not. They're just silence, locked in illusion, managed by handlers. They smile because they're not allowed to cry. They entertain because the contract demand performance. They preach positivity while descending into despair. Their souls are mortgaged to a realm that doesn't allow refunds. The only option left are more sacrifice, more silence, or self-destruction. It's not just about them, it's about the message. This is what happened when you sign. Every public breakdown is a warning disguised as a drama. They don't listen to liars who say you can break it. Like, okay, let me repeat that back. Don't listen to liars who say you can break it with prayer and a wish. This is not Disney spell. It's a cosmic warfare. You can't break what wasn't made here. You can only submit to something higher, holier, stronger than the one who holds your soul. So, what I'm saying here, these contracts they get, it's been reported majority of the contracts that's given out in this dimension come from the infernal realm. I would say a good 90% of them they're saying is coming from the infernal realm. Two or 3 or 4% is coming from oceanic kingdom, right? And then others is coming from realms to the side of us, and just 1% of them are coming from higher realm. So the bulk of the contract that is coming here are coming from the infernal realm. Just want you to know. And that would require, but very few have managed to do this, for them to ascend, far as to have a light, a brighter, hotter, whiter light. So you would hear they talk about the darkness and then the dark and the light. Now, in our dimension, the darkness right now is overtaking the light because of so much contracts done with infernal realm. So in our dimension, it's going to look like the inner earth, but it's not. Well, the end of our dimension, but it's not. But the light have to take up some more space that the darkness have. So right now in our dimension, we can say the darkness have engulfed 80% of this dimension. And so 20% right now is of light. This is why we see all these wars, all these killings, all these sacrifice, all these little ones getting essays and stuff like that. So the the positivity would have to grow, the humanity, the consciousness, and then people need to stop taking contracts out on something that belong. It's ridiculous what they're doing. This is just whew, these people need to stop. Okay, that require blood for blood, sacrifice for sacrifice. Now, sometime when they're doing the sacrifice, they have to offer a sacrifice, and if they and they have to do sacrifice for sacrifice. Sometime, what's very disturbing is that we're hearing some of these organ harvesting victims. Sometimes the infernal the ones that took these contracts, are thinking, okay, I'm gonna take the heart or the kidney and liver from this person, but here's an offer to you. But it's coming back in this dimension, they're not receiving it. And so, mind you, they've been doing this on steroids, thinking it was being received, but it's coming back that they're not receiving it. And we're also hearing of, um, that's why we're hearing crazy thing. Like, for example, so it's very disturbing because it was coming back that these things were not being accepted, even though they were actually doing these things. So it's kind of insanity. Um, far is redemption. It's possible, but it's brutal. It's raw. It's rare. Let me repeat. It's very brutal, very raw and rare. Um, if there is like 100 million of them that did this, there may be that one slither of chance. Because the thing is, you do have to keep in mind these contracts are not taken out like far as they themselves they're doing it. There's rituals that have to be done. There's sacrifices that have to be done. There are things that need to be said. And some of this contract, it can take anywhere from a week to a month. Some of this go all the way up to a year. So this is not something that someone went to the corner store or went into the new age thing and bought a book and said they're gonna do it themselves. No. They have to go through a liaison. Okay? So this is not something that's done like this. Um, it's not a trend. It's not aesthetic. It's not a social media moment. It's pain, exile, it's exorcism. And even then, the scars remain. But breaking it, no. That door never opens. See, this is what I'm talking about. You have a lot of people. I did like one guy that used to be, and I was shocked he was really honest like that. I wasn't expecting his brutal truth about what he did and how he used to get down. But I was like really stunned that he kept it 100% on this planet. He was like, look, I used to get down like this. This is what I used to do. Um, this is what I used to do. Um, huh. And what was he? He was a Satanist high priest. He was saying that there's only like 10 or 12 of them in the world. That's what he claimed. I say maybe there's 10 or 12 of them in America, maybe, but he says there's only 12, 10 or 12 of them on in the world. And he claimed he was one of the high priests of that organization. And then he kept it 100. And he said his mission was to tell people don't do it. And then he also said something that really got me. He said that he knows that he's not going to happen, even though he is doing the Mother Marie stuff, even though he's doing that, even though he is preaching and doing all this good stuff here, but he's never going there. Even though he speaks of Jesus, he's never going to go there because he's like, look, this is a binding contract. I guess he had tried to do some stuff to come out of it, and he was warned, like, hey, no, no, So he was told point blank, dude, you can't be out here, with what we gave you, you doing what you're doing, and then now you talking about you want to what? No, no. And from what I've heard, shamans like you had an ex shaman that used to do soul contracts for people. But he himself, he never did a contract on himself. From what I was hearing him say, he's a pastor now. But he was telling people, like, look, those things are not broken. And that's what I hear from all the shamans on this planet. They always give the testimony. And then they would say, no, I never did it for myself, but I know how to conjure one if you need one. I know how to get whatever you need. They'll come and then they'll talk to you. You know what I'm saying? But it's actual beings from other dimension that they're summoning up. And like I said, they have a liaison. This is like it's not something you wake up on Monday and you run and go get it on Tuesday. It doesn't work like that. And the people that's actually doing these things, you'd be surprised. It's like you'd be surprised who is in these things. And these things, they can be considered cult, they can be considered covens, they can be considered whatever. But this is what they're into. And if you're reading, thinking, thinking, if you're reading, thinking you'll never make that mistake, be careful because the offers don't come looking evil. They come wrapped in your greatness, your weakness, your deepest despair. The infernal realm always come offering what you lack most: love, power, recognition, relief. It asks only one thing in return: your allegiance, not your love, not your respect, just your yes. And once that yes is given, whether you know it or not, the deal is closed. The ledger is written, the countdown begin. You sign more than a contract, you surrender dominion. Look at the walking corpse in the spotlight. Look at the celebrities who had it all and lost their damn mind. Look at the influence who glow online and rot in the inside. They were unlucky. They were owned. They signed contracts that couldn't be undone. And now the collectors are circling. They scream in silent, trap in mansion, torment in private. They dance with darkness and got devoured. It wasn't a metaphor. It was a transaction, and it will not be reversed. So don't understand. So understand this. Once you make a soul contract with the infernal realm, it is forever. You cannot convert. It's forever. Let me take this back again. Let me just read this. Take my time, because it's just like once you make a contract with them, it's forever. You can convert. Yeah. Yeah, that's what you want to do right now. You can go and do the Jesus thing. Yeah, you could go do the Buddha thing. You can go do whatever. All that is good. You can go do all that. But that contract you made with entities not from this dimension. And that contract will be held. And that's something that they're not telling these people. Like, hey, you know, but from what I've been researching, from what I've been seeing, these stuff is not done in 1 hour. There's a lot of preparation that these people have to go get certain things, certain items, and these people have to prep. So a lot of prepping go in. It's not just like bang bang, thank you, ma'am. It's not like you just came in and said, here it is. No, offerings got to be made. And then when we talk about offering, we're not just talking about human. We talk about animal offering. We're talking about um, it's so much thing. It's not a 1-2 step. So how do you tell me if your process is 1 to 2 weeks, if it's a couple months, if it's a year for you, depending on what entity that's going to grant you this in this dimension? How can you tell me that you're going to do all this and you don't understand? I mean, you're willing to do all this. Some of the signs for this, we can see here. Um, there are people there are females that have given up their ovaries, man. You notice they never bore a baby. Like, well, dang, how come you don't have no baby? You have all that wealth. Who's going to inherit that? Which is strange. But no one ever realized that's strange behavior. But it's not really strange if the ovaries what you gave up to become famous. Because you got to give something that's valuable. Or people notice a male have all the success in the world and no heir. They know that they gave up their, their, their testicle. Therefore, they could never have kids. They know that inwardly. But they were played off. They said, I didn't want them. And then this is when it becomes dangerous. Then you have people that's influenced that love these people, start saying this gibberish, but don't realize that being you're looking at has a soul contract. That being gave up that ovary. That being gave up that testicle. That being gave up family. And then also, too, they would give families, right? And they still, for some reason, I don't know why the females, majority of them have to give up their ovaries. I don't know why. And then some females, they would get pregnant and give up the infant. So before it's born, they'll give it up. So there, you have people that do that, and people are like, how do you know you can have babies? Well, that fool kept on happening and offering babies as sacrifice. That's how the fool knew. Because what it was just given, they have rituals where it's like abortion, like where they take these kids out of them. So the fool was doing that. So the fool knew that, you know, like you would hear there was one particular, I'm not going to name the person. And this particular person went around, and I think the person was like 36 and hadn't any kid yet. And the person like, oh, I can have kids, healthy kids at that. And everybody kind of looked at her like, but you don't have none. They're like, well, I'll have one when I get married. And long and behold, when she got married, she carried two, and she used a surrogate for two of them. I think that's what it was. I think she carried two and she's a surrogate, or maybe she carried one and used a surrogate for the rest of them. Because she probably like, oh, that was too much for my damn body. Enough of that. You know, and for me, and people were shocked, and the person played off like, oh, I have it in a freezer, but I don't think it was in the freezer. I think that this being just did so much of it, knew that they could have them because they were doing a lot of the sacrifice for whatever it is that they're asking. you know. But I know it's all temporary. And that's the sad thing about it. So yeah, it doesn't matter what you do, it's forever. But like I said, they can convert, they can beg, they can change their life, but the original contract remain as evidence, not to be broken, but to be judged at the end. You will pay, you will be reclaimed. This isn't fair, it's facts. The infernal plays to keep, and no amount of therapy, Brandon, repentance without blood will set you free. They lied when they said you could take it back, because in the eye of that realm, you already belong to them. And the thing is, um, you have a lot of people tricking themselves, telling that false lie that they will convert. No, mm-mm, mm-mm. You didn't do that contract with God. Yes, God is all powerful and stuff, but that's not where you went to do that contract. You went to the infernal realm. Um, that wasn't done like that, you know. And a lot of people that don't have soul contracts are like speaking of them that don't have nothing. As if they are the BN of everything, like they understand how it works. Then had that work when they don't understand how it works. So that's just basically me trying to clear the air up with that. But guys, I don't have one, thank goodness. I've never gotten one, but I've hearing a lot of people, and we've seen a lot of signs when they come to collect them. We see how they get them. Man, they leave out here pretty rough, man. I mean, we see one was riding a bike sporadically because I heard that they tell you, I'm coming to get you. I'm gonna snatch your little tail over there. And we just seen. I haven't seen one case where they come to get them that they leave beautifully. I haven't seen one case. I think the funeral is beautiful. They get a good, I mean, their corpse get a good sent away, but they're not in them vehicles no more. So, yeah, yeah, y'all be careful out here. And so, anyway, I want to thank you for listening to my Nishka Jessica, host of Luco T Podcast. Thank you for tuning in to Luco T Podcast. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being an audience of Luco T Podcast. And thank you for subscribing to this channel. Please like and subscribe. Bye.